peeps, this Algebra Nation video will cover page 93, problem square root 4.
In this problem, apparently President Obama and Vice President Biden are math nerds because they are doing a competition to see who can solve a systems problem the fastest. Now, depending on the question, depending on the equations given, one method might be better than other. Sometimes substitution is going to be easier. Sometimes elimination is going to be easier. Sometimes you can use graphic. Well, all of them are going to give you the same answer. It's just a matter of which way you're going to solve. So let's see what they've got. We have, all right, they're doing their competition, trying to solve it the fastest, and we have our two equations. We have 2x plus 5, 2x plus 5y equals 13. X is equal to 5 plus 3y. We have our two different equations. What we're trying to do when we are solving a system is finding the value of x and y that they have in common. It's finding their two lines, where do they intersect? What is that point? What is the x and the y value? So looking at these two, which method would we use to solve this problem? Now remember, you could use any method you want, but given the way that an equation is set up, one might be easier than the other. So what jumps out at me? Well, in my first equation, I have x and y both on the left side of my equal side. My second equation, I'm given what x is equal to. I know that x is the equivalent of 5 plus 3y. Well, if x is equal to 5 plus 3y, I know what x is, right? I know that it's equal to 5 plus 3y. I can use that for y. I can use this 5 plus 3y as a value of x and plug it in. Well, if I'm plugging in a value of x into an equation, I'm just substituting it in. What method is this? Substitution. I'm choosing this method. Why? I'm choosing it because I already have an equation where x is isolated. I already have an equation with x by itself. I can easily take what x is equal to and substitute it in to my other equation. So now that we've decided that we're going to do this problem with substitution, let's solve it. Let's figure out the solution. So let's rewrite it. We have 2x plus 5y equals 13. And we know that x is equal to 5 plus 3y. Well, if I know that x is the same thing as saying 5 plus 3y, and I have an x in my first equation, I'm just going to plug that in where I see an x. So my first equation is 2 times x. Well, I know that x is the same thing as saying 5 plus 3y. I'm going to plug in 5 plus 3y. So now that I have that, what do I do? I'm not done. I need to write out this entire first equation. I have 2 times 5 plus 3y plus 5y equals 13. Well, now I'm just solving for y. I only have one variable in here. I need to solve for y. Well, the first thing to do is get rid of these parentheses. I need to distribute. So I'm going to distribute my 2 to each term inside the parentheses. 2 times 5 gives me 10. 2 times 3y. So if I have 3y and I double it, how many y do I have? 6y. 2 times 3y gives me 6y plus 5y equals 13. Well, now let's see. Can we combine any terms? Yeah, we have a 6y plus 5y. 6 plus 5 is going to give me a plus 11y. So now I have 10 plus 11y, we just combined these two terms, equals 13. All right, so take a second, make sure we're all caught up here. What's the next step? We just need to solve for y. Well, I have a 10 being added to this 11y. So if 10 is being added here, I want to get rid of it. I always want to get rid of my constants, of my numbers. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Let's see what happens. Now I have 11y equals, what's 13 minus 10? 3. But I'm not done yet, am I? I still need to do what? I still need to get y by itself. Well, if I divide both sides by 11, 11 divided by 11 is what? 1, so that cancels out. And I'm left with y equals 3 divided by 11. Can we simplify 3 divided by 11? No, so we just leave it as is. Well, now that we know what y equals to, we've got half the problem. We still need to figure out what x is equal to. So
I thought she said, we still need to take a brain break. If you try this on the EOC, you will not get a 399 or higher. Epic fail.
Where these two lines intersect, the y, how far up you are on your y-axis, is 3 over 11. We need to find out what the x value is. So when y is equal to 3 over 11, what is x? Well, let's see. We can use either of our equations. Let's use x equals 5 plus 3y. Well, we already figured out that y is equal to 3 over 11. Well, when y, make this red, when y is equal to 3 over 11, let's figure out what x is. Well, we'd have x equals 5 plus 3 times y. Well, what's y? 3 divided by 11. Let's see what this comes out to. X equals 5 plus, well, we're multiplying a number times a fraction, so let's put this as a fraction. 3 is the same thing as saying 3 over 1. How do we multiply? Multiply your tops. 3 times 3 is 9. Multiply your bottoms. 1 times 11 is 11. You got it. So now what do? We have x equals 5 plus 9 over 11. Well, when I'm adding a whole number plus a fraction, I need to have the same denominator, right? So how can I get this denominator to be 11? You got it. I'm going to multiply my top by 11 and my bottom by 11. Well, 11 times 5 is what? 11 times 5 is 55. So it's the same thing as saying 55 over 11 plus 9 divided by 11. Let's see what we get. When I'm adding fractions, I keep the denominator the same. So I have an 11 on my bottom, and I add the top. I'm going to add my numerators. What's 55 plus 9? 55 plus 9 gives me 64. So I get my final answer. X is 64 over 11. Y is 3 over 11. That's our solution. If we want it as a coordinate point, we would write it our x comma y. Our x is 64 over 11. Our y is 3 over 11. And that's it. We got it. Now remember, you can always check your work when you're doing a systems problem. Take your value of x and your value of y, plug it into your equation. Plug in x equals 64 over 11. Plug in y equals 3 over 11. Your left side of your equation needs to equal to your right. It's a great check to make sure that you solved it. Now, if you want an extra challenge, what are you going to do? You're going to solve this problem again using what? Solve it again using elimination. You're going to end up with the same answer. You're going to see that maybe you like one way versus the other way. Maybe you like elimination more than you do substitution. The good news is that they're going to give you the same answers every time.